odd carrier onboard delivery. If you look real close, you'll see it has a little tail wheel, but also a tail wheel for operating on an off-deck aircraft carrier. Thank you. They are temporary stewards. As our odd aircraft comes around again from the right, gives you a photo of They include the commemorative airplanes, the Yankee Air Force, the warbirds of America, and the Canadian warplane heritage. It, in fact, is a fast airplane, fast enough to win the gold at the National Championship Air Race. Okay, Chris. They are the observation aircraft. They were from Europe. loads you right in the air, coming in over the top of the MiGs that taught us so much that they were going to do to us. Things changed. The kill ratio went from what it was, when I mentioned to you before, up to 14 to 1. That is, we shot 14 enemy aircraft out of the air for every one that we had sales. It means folks love the movies about those great aircraft. From the B-24 bomber, the Liberator, by the fact it only has one tail. Now the OBs, you might remember, they were used at Vietnam. Skyraider, see the multiple cockpit seats, and you hear again the big people in fluid absolutely love it. Over the top now, pilots here. Now, the dimensions of this airplane were different than the before and before. It was stretched also on the wall bridges to avoid pilot fatigue. And then a number of great series series on TV. It goes back to 1977, 78, 79, and I think. And that was in fact the same name of series. Assembly line 8, fighters hot pass. It will be the P-51 Mustang. Troublemakers in World War II. Robert Conrad was in behind. We're looking through our rope. All right, fighter making pass now. P-51 Mustang. Company, built by Chance Vaughn, the designer, and also they became just modifying aircraft, fighters or pursuit aircraft in World War II. They were going around the pilots, then we moved from Cleveland and racing to the city of Reno, and it would be a battle between the Corsairs, the B-51s, modified Corsairs. One would win the gold one year, one win the gold the next year. It became a battle between the Bearcats and the B-51. Back and forth, back and forth. They're all vulnerable aircraft. Remember I told you about North American aviation by the name of Barrett? He found that he could make a jet engine out of it. The cool air comes in the big opening of the radiator. They had a door in the back of that radiator. Maybe you'll see it on the ground. When adjusting that door, the air would heat inside the radiator. To blow away, blow to the right. That wing Corsair coming in, much like it would do on the deck of an aircraft carrier. Well, about the Corsair too, I always like to tell you about TV shows and movies. There was a movie that came out several years ago called Devotion. It was about, and the producer-director of that particular film, he didn't want to go to computer-generated images. So it's the way I remember. He got hold of our friend Steve Hitt, who could fly any fighter and work with the motion real airplane in my got great visibility, two-man cockpit. And for a season or two, pat your legs and watch for the smoke and the ground to shake beneath your feet. Okay, coming around to your right. Looks like twin-tail, twin-engine OB-10. Flying in the honor of his dad, Joe Tobel, flew airplanes like this as well. All right, Mr. Tobel, going up into the greatest sound in the world. It's Rusty Bell, our international guest.
Edition today.
Corsair is a legend that flew over 500 miles at altitude to the 41,000 feet. His prodigy acted with the jet. The Corsair became the major naval fighter well into the 1950s. Joe Tobel began a long and loving restoration process in 1981. This aircraft retired from naval service. Today, Jim
See this may never happen again, live anyplace else. So get this in your mind of your picture and in your thoughts. On the first of the model BS4, wow, just under 80,000 was produced. And we're over here, how many that's individuals that shot down 5 or more aircraft. And that mainly was the Marianas turkey shooting. Okay, over your right shoulder. We may see it again courtesy of Broncos and his generosity, but again, these aircraft are so rare. From the F4, direct in front of about 8,000, F6 over 12,000. Now the F4 is coming up, maybe I take care of that. This is the moment in of 1,200. Now the twin-engine airplane, the Tiger. And you might have seen the folding wings on the twin-engine Tiger cat. It wasn't able early on to land on the deck of an aircraft carrier effectively until the bigger carriers came out, and then it did well. It was just the inventory back in
United States Navy Blue Angels team when they inaugurated their first team demonstration flights in 1946. Their first airplane of choice, Avenger, very explicit to the war last 1 year. It's unique. F6 first taking off, F4, F80, and then the F7. They were bought surplus by civilians who raced them, and also with modifications, broke 565 records, and 274 reports. There's the one where you kind of with a windwalker despite at the house. I took 29 hours. So keep it here again. Engine engine, F7. If you slow this aircraft, each of the aircraft is ready to be whether they were flooded, U.S. or not. We have made influences in the world. Breaking speed records and fastest line records is coming in, winning the gold race in the unlimited class at the National Championship Air Races. Almost 60th year of racing. Yeah, continuing to come in over here, right? And you will see also a variation of the landing gear.
Guys, getting something?
Down on landing gear. It is combat weight. It weighed at least about 5,000 to 6,000 pounds more than any of the lightweight fighters. But that did not stop the airplane. It was a formidable airplane for devastating the enemy's supplies and equipment on the ground. So impressive was the ancient thunderbolt of Republic, the one we have seen today. They named their airplane Thunderbolt II. Out of respect to this airplane, it was a Marathon Republic aircraft. The award-winning aircraft of 1985. Captain Brady would eventually be the wife of the pilot, Carol William built up. I escorted the European theater with Andy Gretzky from Oil City, Pennsylvania. He had a total of 31 kills. This is at least one of the aircraft that he was, of course, in the war. He was responsible for the destruction of over 7,000 enemy aircraft. Over 9,000 trains were destroyed, and get this, 68,000 motor vehicles of various types. Also, Travis on the air combat, the robust aircraft. Crews that work on it in World War II call it the junk. Mainly because it's fast. See the shape of the wing, especially how it's B-47 shot down more German fighters than did the B-51, and that's a record. Thunderbolt took this one to some sort of key, January 28th of 1944. Given the choice, after being damaged, which is very hard to do, still fly. Because the engine was very cold, the engine bridge is beat up by the enemy bullets,
and still get a pilot home party to call in lieu of a bailout. Yes, there are a lot in museums, and this one carries, of course, invasion stripes. But we don't see them this many in the air as we do the other aircraft like the B-40s, B-51s, Roman aircraft, Corsair aircraft, and many of the others. Like the one in the air, that's a great service to them. Okay, go over to the right, a great photo pass. Bernie Vasquez is the award-winning B-47, a rare flying aircraft.
Primary two-seat trainer. The T-28 was also used to teach advanced flight maneuvers, such as formation flying being demonstrated right now by our Diamond, aerobatics, instrument flying, ground attack missions, and aircraft carrier training in the Navy. Manufactured by the North American Corporation from 1949 through 1957, the Trojan's B, C, and D models are all powered by a single 1,425 horsepower, Hertzlite 9-cylinder radial engines. By the way, if it sounds familiar, it might sound like a couple of B-17s coming by because it's the exact same engine. Bulldog, JR, Thor, and Dipper.